Now we are starting the next class on our management accounting. We are starting a new chapter today on decision making and relevant costing. We'll follow up with the problems in previous chapter in our online classes, and I will load them soon. Now, what is the relevant classes? Mm, Relevant cost. Relevant cost is a managerial accounting term that describes avoidable costs that are incurred only when making specific decisions. Now, that is why relevant costs in a managerial accounting firm are costs that only when you make a certain decision will you incur that particular cost. Now, this is used to eliminate unnecessary data that would complicate the decision-making process. Means there are many types of data that helps us in making a decision. So, relevant cost means relevant items or relevant expenses that are related to making a particular decision. So, this is known as the concept of relevant costing. For example, relevant cost is used to determine whether to sell or keep a business unit. Say Reliance Jio is recently selling off its Reliance Tower business to several other companies. Now the opposite of the relevant cost is, that means whether it has decided or to keep a business unit. If that part of that a whole or part of the business unit is not viable enough or not profitable enough or is eating up the profits of the other parts of the corporation, then they hive it off or they sell it off or remove it. So how will you decide that? You have to decide that on the basis of the relevant cost. The opposite of the relevant cost is a sunk cost. The sunk cost means the cost has already been incurred, and regardless of the outcome of the decision, you cannot make any changes or you cannot make any improvements in the company profit and loss statement, or you cannot improve that statement. Sunk cost means you have incurred a cost, it did not work, and that's a total loss. You cannot do anything about it. Whereas relevant costs can help you either increase your profit or it can help you decrease your losses. That is relevant costing. But sunk costing is totally different. That means it has already been done and it cannot be reversed. Types of sunk costing decisions. Now, one is continue to operate versus closing a business. Now, manager, he faces a big decision sometimes, say during the corona crisis, whether he should keep the business open or whether he should close the business down or operate it. And relevant costs are the basis for the decision. What are the relevant costs? Say for every different industry, it will be different. For the restaurants, it will be fixed cost like rent, rates, electricities, the salary of the staff. However, the salary of the staff is a variable cost. Manager is it's a variable cost. The food or the raw materials is variable cost. The most important thing is what amount of revenue are they getting. Means all these is to be kept into mind when you are deciding to continue operating versus closing a business. Now, closing can be closing for the time being, or closing can be closing for good. And relevant costs are the basis for the decision. Types of relevant cost decisions. Now, continue operating versus closing business units. The chain of retail sporting goods, say, retail sporting goods like say Reebok or Adidas, any of this like the companies like that, is considering closing a group of stores catering to the outdoor sports market. Now, they are considering um, say selling of the outdoor sports means say water skis, water scooters, and things like that. So the relevant costs are the costs that can be eliminated due to the closure. But then you are losing the revenue that you are earning from that particular place. So when you are considering the relevant costing for revenue, you have to consider the relevant costing for the relevant revenue costing, the relevant costing for a save for a particular item of for an opening or closing it. You have to take into account the relevant revenue from the same. Why? Because revenue less the cost will give you contribution of that unit, and we make decision on the basis of relevant contributions by different units when we make these types of decisions, that whether we should close or whether we should open a certain and keep a certain item open in a certain place. Now, make versus buy. Make versus buy is a very important issue. That company requires component parts to finish a finished product. For example, a furniture maker considering vendor to assemble and stain wood cabinets, which would be finished in-house by adding handles and other details. Now, this is one of the examples. Now, make versus buy decisions are often an issue for the company. Whether the company should make a certain product, like the company has many other spaces that it can put to better profitable uses, and might be making that wood cabinet is it is contributing much less to the company than the other items. So it might decide to outsource this thing and buy the manufactured wood cabinets and sell it in the company's name and brand and label. But then this has to go through various phases. You have to first resource a vendor. Vendor means the person who is selling it. And then you have to check the price, what price you are giving to that person, and then what price, not only what price you are giving to that person, what price is that particular person uh, accepting. Now, is that price low? And now the difference between that price and the price you are, you have to do some finishing touches. That is, you have to do some addition to that. This price along with that addition, less the sales prices or the sales revenue, gives you contribution per unit for that particular item. So you will compare the contribution when you are making it per unit, and you are comparing the contribution when you are buying it. So the per unit contribution when you are making it and the per unit contribution when you are buying it are both the main items which need to be compared. Now, if the contribution per unit is more in case of make, then you decide to make it rather than buy it. If it is to buy, you buy it. But then there are also various other considerations that come into play. What are the other considerations? That if you are not making that particular product there, the space will remain empty. So you will be doing some other profitable work there. So the contribution from that profitable work must be added to both these items, must be added. And it can only be added to the items when you are buying. So the contribution from the space used for other purposes plus buying, contribution from buying, doing some work and selling, must be at least equal to or less than the make. Otherwise, there is no idea or no conceptual or financial concept in making the make or buy decision. We'll continue our next class. Thank you.